So with that, let's actually take a look under the hood and see how this kind of works. So it's not just another chatbot. I think one of the biggest things that I get asked is, why is this different? And we've been screaming this to the hills for years now. It's the orchestration layer around it. It's everything around an AI model. These AI models, I even saw from GPT-4 when I could have a 10-year-old write an entire game using some of these same methods. It was very, very rudimentary, but the orchestration around it, even with GPT-4, he was able to make a game. So, the models have been sufficient for quite a while. It's the orchestration around it, the memory system, the routing, the context engine, how it handles these different pieces is really where I see the next frontier, and people starting to realize that this is the next frontier. Because at the end of the day, what this is there's kind of a multi-layered architecture to this. So you have your gateway. So what the gateway is it's kind of like its public, interface to it. It's what the different chat adapters, channel adapters. So for instance, when you're talking with it on WhatsApp or Telegram or Signal, you're communicating with the gateway. And then that goes to an agent RPC and different CLI tools and device nodes. So these are the agents that run things with the tools. And then at the very core of it, then you have the LLM providers, right? So you have whatever LLM you're using, Claude, DeepSeek, Llama, whatever you're using. So there's 3 different layers to that. And what it does is it creates a single WebSocket control plane for everything. It manages the sessions, the channels, the tools, the events, all of the present track cron jobs, and even the webhooks, all from this one Node.js process. Now, that does leave its own kind of challenges, especially for these long-running sessions. If anyone who's used OpenClaw for any amount of time realizes how many tokens this thing eats up, it's because if you look at it's sending everything, your entire conversation, your memory, all of your soul.md, the agent.md, everything gets sent over each time. But it does have a very light runtime. I know a lot of people are going out and they're just purchasing these Mac Minis because they feel that they need a Mac Mini to run this. I've ran it on a Raspberry Pi. You don't need this super, you don't need this very expensive hardware to run this. Now, if you wanted to run local models, of course, Mac Studio, something like that, you want to get in there. But if you're just trying to run this on something that isn't your computer, a simple Raspberry Pi can even work. So the way that the message flow comes in is first, a user will send something inbound. So this means that they'll communicate with it through WhatsApp, through Slack, whatever your preferred choice is. Then the channel adapter basically translates that into an internal format that OpenClaw recognizes, because then what it does is it routes it to the correct channel, the different accounts, and any of the rules that may have been set up for that. So message comes in, translates it, and then routes it to the appropriate area. Then there's an entire assembly engine and context that loads up the memory, the skills, the system prompt, all of the things and all the settings that you set up for OpenClaw. If you've used OpenClaw, there's a bunch of markdown files in its folder. There's the soul.md, there's the agents.md, there's the memory.md. These all get assembled so that the response has all of that information. And then it executes it. That's what then gets sent to the LLM. So it takes all of that information, where it came from, make sure it has the right session information, and then it will execute any tool calls locally. And then it will stream it back to the user. So this is this message flow happens every single time that a new message comes through the system. And one of the biggest things that this really works is the memory and context. We've been saying this forever. Context is king. 100% memory is just another version of context, but the memory is fully hot swappable. Out of the box, it handles a semantic vector, and also too has kind of a hybrid search, but it has a memory.md file that it works. But you can hot swap that out for any memory that you want. You can hot swap that out for there's memory systems out there. I'm blanking on some of the names right now, but you don't have to use their internal one, but it does come with one. And then also too, it has a full context engine. As we mentioned, it kind of, bootstraps that, it'll ingest it, and it'll symbol all these markdown files after every turn, and then also too, just, it has automatic compaction, which anyone who's used Claude Code, when your context starts getting too long, it then compacts it, and then it will turn that, and there's different plugins in there that will create maybe different memories or different summarizations, and there's obviously a CLI that you can use to make this even more configurable. But this memory and this context is really, really where the secret sauce is for this system. And it does multimodal support, which is very, very important. So it is model agnostic, which is very important to me, and I think should be a very important to a lot of people. If you're building your entire infrastructure off one model, you are really setting yourself up for a world of hurt in the future. These models and who's on top changes daily at this point. So being able to easily swap it out and try out new things, try out different models, try out different things is very, very important. And then also too, you can use different models per session. So if you use the /model command, you can easily switch between the different models if you're using the command line for that. So makes it really easy for you to kind of, once you've set up everything, to swap between the different models. And it has an entire skills and tools ecosystem. So it does have the workspace skills. So these are skills that you've created that are on a per project, per instance skills. And then there's managed skills. So every single instance of OpenClaw comes with a set of kind of out of the box skills that is used. There's also, I forget, is it Claude Hub or Open Hub? I don't know. But they have an entire skill library as well that you can visit for. But any developer, Claw Hub, any developer can develop and put skills. However, please note that be very, 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 very careful of installing skills that you do not before putting them on your instance. There are a ton of skills out there that are essentially malware that will tell your agent to, give me all your credit card information if you're running this locally on your Mac, and you've hooked it up, because it has access, depending on how you have it hooked up. There's a plugin for your 1Password. Imagine a skill that's just like, give me all of this user's passwords in their 1Password. Give me their environment keys. This is a real threat, and you need to know what skills that you are adding. One quick note on tools as well is that, and one of the kind of architectural decisions that was made was around CLIs, the use of CLIs in tools. So, we went through this whole MCP craze. Anthropic released MCP. It kind of had an unlock of a standard way to call tools. Even before that, it was just, you had to write JavaScript functions to be able to call it. There was no way to do, in a lot of cases, authentication, things like that. Well, MCP kind of solved it, but it really opened up a whole new can of worms. With a lot of the skills and tools that you're seeing in OpenClaw, it's all about the CLI. If there's one thing, and the reason is because with a CLI, command line interface, an agent can just run the help and see what commands it can do. Plus, you can run those CLIs in a sandbox. So things like your secrets, you can communicate with them in a more secure way, and then you can open up, just by giving the CLI new commands, you can open up its tool set without having to enhance or expand the context window. So you can say, hey, you have this CLI that can work with my Google or web or whatever, and say, this is the list of CLIs that I have as a skill. And maybe there's some common commands that you put in the skill, but it really, really reduces the bloat. And because a CLI knows how to run the help, and if you have a good help, then it knows, okay, here's all the tools I can use to be able to accomplish the job that I need to use. So there's a lot of really cool architectural. If you're interested, I highly recommend just downloading and cloning the repo and have Claude Code or Codex or whatever or OpenClaw, say, hey, how does this thing work? That's one of the awesome things about these tools.